When comparing Fallout and the Star Wars universe, on the surface you can say that they both are in a galaxy far, far away. But when you get your magnifying glass out, dead wife, a grown-ass son. Can you beat Fallout 4 as Darth Vader?
He told me you killed him. No. I am your father.
With the clutches of a galactic dictatorship out the window, there is only one way to represent true hatred against San and the younglings. Through the specifically unspecific specific special points distribution. The Death Star unleashes a load. Padme gets murked by a cooler looking balding man. Peter launches another animal cruelty lawsuit against me. But it was all going to be okay as Vault Guy reminded me that I was as ready as any man wearing moist 200-year-old underwear could ever be. I mean, look how dirty that shit is. I frolic around Sanctuary like a streaker at a football match, trying to remember where I left my cosplay costume. But it turns out being frozen for over 200 years truly does affect your brain cognitive functions, and it's not because I am slightly brain damaged myself. With my basement collection found, it was time to strike fear on the Commonwealth like never seen before. And for those who are interested in becoming Commonwealth's next top dictator and live your Sith Lord wet dream, today's video is proudly brought to you by Lightsight Renew and Darth Vader armor with Havok cloth physics created by Invalid Fate. I have left you links in the description below for the mods that are used in this run because there are a few little cheeky ones that I've put in here too. With the fly problem of Sanctuary cooked medium rare and the introduction of a gimp suit wearing lunatic with a plasma radiating dildo stick of death, it was time to show the true meaning behind the Museum of Freedom. Now, before you say anything about what just shot out of my hands, fizzle f***ing a whole bunch of bandits, remember, you are wrong. You just gotta trust me on this one, alright? Once the remainder of the bandits were flame grilling today at your BK with the ceremonial dildo of vengeance and reminding Gravy Train that he is not the only one with childhood trauma, I formally welcomed the Commonwealth to the first coming of Space Hitler. Amazing. Meeting Preston in a bush to discuss diplomatic immunity, it was time to unravel the first steps of the Commonwealth takeover by agreeing to entertain the idea of rebuilding Sanctuary. But you see, I'm not here to exactly save the Commonwealth. I am here to own it. So began the beginning of the end of the Minutemen. First things first, I needed to provide bedding for my new family. For you see, I am a man of great fairness, a man of understanding. So I cleared the lands around me to provide what happens to be the only 5-star accommodation in these lands. Beds so high-tech they're able to float.
I like it.
Second thing on the menu was to provide clean water and also a food source, which had me venturing down to my favorite diner where I was able to persuade Wolfgang to lower his weapons and give me his caps. It was all going well until I told him to get lost. I head inside the diner and talk to Trudy because I know she has a food supply on her. But this time, it wasn't good enough. This upset me, so I did what any I hate Sandman would do. So off I headed to Abernathy's farm, where I was to steal the family's only means of survival, but with the realization that the dirt reminded me of sand. With the balance restored and a food supply worthy of a Heinz ketchup factory, it was time to proceed to step 3, which was to create a safe haven for my people with a state-of-the-art defense system. Because nothing says safety like knowing you'll be protected while sleeping. They call me their savior, but in reality I am their master. Which leads me on to the final step. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you... With my first problem dealt with and out of the way, I make my way to Cambridge Police Station where I gave Dance a helping hand with his feisty little ghoul problem. But little does he know what happens to people that I help. I may have agreed to help Dance in reclaiming the ancient alien technology for the Brotherhood of Toasters. I may have helped Dance melt steel beams with my certified dildo, and throw hands of lightning with more precision than an Imperial stormtrooper to clear the way. But you see, I am a person of self-control, a mind like a Zen garden, crouching tiger, hidden dragon. This is the way of hatred of sand. With the deep range transmitter in hand and Dance's dementia in full swing as he forgets the fact I watched him burn from a window, I was recruited into the Brotherhood even after saying some threatening words to Halen.
He needs to keep out of my way.
I hope that isn't a threat.
Thus began the Mr. Worldwide 305 adventure of helping the Toaster worshippers by collecting a large amount of lost technologies such as the Infinity Paws. I create a succulent Chinese meal, and over a course of multiple hours follow distress signals to collect holotapes and dog tags. Who would have thought that this would have been the biggest waste of time known to mankind? Hours spent succeeding in ways not even Stephen Hawking could understand, even when getting bukkake by a group of stingwings and PTSD'd to death. I knew Todd would be watching, smiling, as if I got to save my game multiple times and had to relive these moments over again and again. This truly was amazing. It was finally time for Diamond City.
Why don't we ask the newcomer? You support the news? Because the mayor's threatened to throw free speech in the dump.
Ali tells me of the disappearance of the pocket pussy. I persuade her to give me more money. I try my luck again. Unfortunately for her, she reminded me of sand. Arriving at Papa John's House of Fun was as fun as any racial genocide could be. Alright. I'm not trying to say that it'll actually be fun causing genocide, but you know, explode planets from a ball in space kind of fun. Look, what I'm trying to say is spaghetti parmigiana, meatballs, Italian herbs and cheese. I make quick work of the last remaining Italians of the Commonwealth. I dodge a man's flying fist to create a human spinning top. The force is definitely strong within me. Dino gets kneecap head slapped to death. Nick has a mental breakdown, and Darla was a little more open than usual. And just remember, this was all Ellie's fault. Returning to Diamond City, I describe a cool looking bald man, only to break into his house and get strangely aroused by a glowing red button, prompting me to start my journey to hunt down that cooler looking baldy man in Fort Hagen. Some would say, why didn't I go there earlier to get the fast travel point? But you see, this isn't about efficiency. This is about embracing the world Todd gave us, the journey to the destination. To throw a ball of pure energy at an unsuspecting man a good mile away. This is truly the way of sand hatred. Fort Hagen was in sight. I exposed my true power like a man who is completely naked under a trench coat, only to open it to a table of people enjoying their morning coffee. I pummel the backdoor tunnel of Hagen like Todd does to me every night. Aggressive, with no remorse. Pure synth on synth action. You may call this overly sexual, but I call this a mechanical ballet of violence and misplaced parental issues. I get strangely aroused by disarming a mine and quickly throw hands at Kellogg because there was only one way this was going to end. Me fingering his ass for his synth component and getting overwhelmingly disappointed that I could not take down the vertibirds that surround the metal pickle. Once again, causing me to take actions into my own hands. Oh god, what have I done? Making my way to Goodneighbor, Dr. Calamari inspects the part I pulled from Kellogg's ass and shows me how to correctly finger pocket pussy from behind. These words indeed made me rethink my life choices. So much so that after watching Will Smith kidnap a child and Calamari tried telling me what I need to do, I closed the door behind me with only one thought in mind. The Commonwealth slowly becoming a better place, with mostly everyone I encounter dying around me simply for the reason that they keep reminding me of sand. I make my way to the glowing sea to track down Wish.com Bruce Banner and proceed with this masterful story, only to find myself getting absolutely finger blasted by an enclave soldier with a Tesla cannon. Some would say this was ironic. I would say it's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. This is the way of daddy issues. After Virgil explains that I need to go and find the Corsa chip, I was off to green tech genetics, where I wasted no time and blasted my way through the hordes of bandits, slicing and dicing each one of them with the main goal of getting out of here as fast as possible. But that all came to a halt as everyone managed to tank my finger blasting. Even the bandits somehow survived my fingering. But after a few more swipes on my plasma rod and another ball of lightning, the Corsa chip was mine, and I found out it was never too late to have flashbacks to Vietnam. This angered me, so I took it out on the closest people I could find. And unfortunately for Kent, his suit reminded me of sand. At this point in the game, you might be asking yourself, Santa, surely your game file is absolutely cooked from the slaughtering of those quest-giving characters. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you for a fact that at this point in time, no. So off I headed to Old North Church, as we all know this is where the railroad resides. And luckily enough, it turns out Amari is not needed after transversing through Kellogg's wet dreams. Even Deacon himself has the ability of rising from the dead. I watch as Tom mashes his typewriter to decode the Corsa chip. Little does the AI spaghetti of the Choo Choo clan know, they're simply not needed. The falling bodies reminded me of that one time. This had become my most murderous run. But you see, everything reminds me of sand, and I do not like sand. This is Todd's fault. With the herbal slurble of the Corsa chip completed and the confirmation of Preston being truly dead, I was finally, and I mean finally, off to the metal pickle. I was so excited I unloaded into the sky. This is indeed the first sighting of Darth Vader shooting a minigun. I blend in perfectly as Mac's son spreads his words of glory, unfazed by a man wearing a gimp suit. So unfazed in fact that he grants me the rank of knight. Unsure if it correlates to the fact that I am wearing all black, or maybe he thinks I am indeed from the Dark Ages. I meet the members of the Toasterhood, completing my introduction, and watch as a man lifts an initiate with his head. Amazing. Maxon tells me of his wild sense of smell, as he can smell the filth of super mutants from a good couple of miles away. Little does he know, he also smells like absolute shit himself. I swim across the fort strong with the cover of night, the perfect advantage to lay down a sneak attack. I unsheath my lightsaber as if it was a sword. I conduct the mass genocide of super mutants. No smell to be left behind. Maxon's nose to be free from the grips of whatever he was smelling. To this day, I still believe he was smelling himself. I enter the fort like Uncle Todd entering my room in the middle of the night. No words, just 16 times the detail. The smell of burnt corpses filling the air as I sear the meat with my lightsaber. I have now become the problem. I show Ingram a shitty crown drawing from a man with oversized fingers, which she somehow deciphered and got a list of materials. I prepare by removing moldy red carpet and other junk that was precisely placed about. I placed the stabilized reflector platform, but it turns out suffering from so much success was met with more slave work. But you see, I am a man of brain. So much brain in fact that I had already collected the materials that was needed. Thus begun the creation of Todd Howard's Philippine bot farm, proudly brought to you by dodgy series wiring, meaning if one component fails, the entire circuit fails. This is the peak of human safety. Maxon explains that I must convince Dr. Lee to return to the Brotherhood, even though she theoretically fired herself, which gave me more questions than answers. I get transmobulated into the Institute, taking the longest elevator ride known to mankind. I yell at a child behind a glass wall, only to get reverse Darth Vadered. With the instinctive desire to end father-son, son-of-father's life there and then, I remembered that I had a task on hand which was more important for my final motives. I find Lee and spin some yarns about how the Brotherhood values her. Such like the ways a workplace will try and give you a pay rise that you've asked for over a year when you tell them you're going to leave. This indeed was not very successful. She enlightens me about a man named Virgil that was apparently killed. I tell her this was not the case. Again, not very successful. So off to the bioscience division I headed, where the truth of Virgil was to be found. I shit my pants as I nearly take a load of assault to my face. I find a dead cat and a naked super mutant in a room together. This gave me many questions. I retrieved Brian's personal log and Virgil's experimental serum, which at first glance I thought it said experimental sperm. This truly says a lot about me. After listening to the diary of Virgil, Lee was finally convinced. But ladies and gentlemen, there's something else on hand. I would like to welcome you to your main course. I honestly have no words. Like, where the hell do they all come from? Oh, Todd, you strike again. Returning back to Virgil, I hand over his experimental sperm and watch as he injects it straight into his arm. Wondering to myself, is this how super mutants are conceived? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I find a stool. I sit. I wait. 3 days pass and a human man appears. Virgil was born again. The one and only serum in existence with proven results. The only man who knows how to make it. But unfortunately for him, his cave reminded me of sand. With those shenanigans out of the way, it was time for Ingram to fully expose herself. And by expose, I mean show me her Liberty Prime, and by that I mean some giant-ass robot. You should all be ashamed of yourself. Ingram goes on to explain that I need to find a high-powered magnet which can be found in hospitals, which made me think again, if you knew where they were, why not get them yourself? Maybe then Gruel with his cool chef hat would still be alive today, able to go home to his wife and kids after a long day of hanging out in city rubble. An honest man, making an honest living, taken away from his family. Little Timmy to now suffer the consequences of daddy issues, all because Ingram's a lazy ass. Arriving at Medford Memorial Hospital, I create memories of my own. Quite explosive memories if you ask me. I find the operating theater key and make super mutants fall over with my hand gestures. Operation High Powered Magnet was a success. I randomly place electromagnetic actuators on the ground, creating zero convenience for anybody, most likely causing the delay of Liberty Prime. But Ingram thinks otherwise and sends me off to hunt down nuclear bombs. I find Halen at waypoint with no echo. I mash through our conversation because I simply cannot stand her monotone expression. I ingest 3 more liters of Mountain Dew and return to the glowing sea in search of the Great Pyramid. A Great Pyramid of ghoul bukakis. A Great Pyramid where a man gets blasted for disobeying my desires and then proceeds to run away to only feel my fist right up his ass. I place the signal pulsar. Radioactive Mr. Burns gets ass salted. This indeed was a great success. So successful in fact that Liberty got primed. Time goes by. Days. Months. Years. In remembrance of that one-time dance, felt my hand tickle his intestines from outside a door until he exploded with pleasure. Or that other time we FBI opened up the railroad headquarters only to realize I was 500 steps ahead. But remember, this is Todd's world. It is simply Balenciaga of Renaissance. Pure art. Now, this is the part of the story where I tell Ingram to fuck off and fly my ass over to the mass fusion tower to acquire the beryllium agitator. The laser light show off synths showing off they have better aim than a stormtrooper. I battle my way through swarms of human-sized pocket pussies, throwing absurd hand signs which causes them to flail like fish out of water. This was indeed far too entertaining. Some would say arousing. I would agree. With the beryllium agitator shoved right up my ass, I make for the perfect escape. Nothing was going to stand in my way. With the overly sized AA battery shoved into Made in China, it was finally time to put this madness to an end, even though I had practically killed everyone associated with it. But you see, the AI chicken pasta bake that holds together the fragments of Todd's world simply doesn't understand the idea of consequences, but understands the idea of fun. Why be logical when you can just do it all over again? To which I do. The great massacre of the Institute unfolds like Todd folding me over the kitchen bench, pressing his lips against my ear, whispering, "It just works." For it does just work. Just like this very cool 360 no-scope neck slice, or having a hand slap you so hard you just drop. Amazing. I place the fusion pulse charge and teach Pocket Pussy Sean what happens when he disrespects me. I press the detonator and prompt the end of this run. But is it truly the end of the run? A huge thank you to all you for watching and for those who have stuck around with my random ass uploading schedule. You truly are the chicken to my egg. Don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Next time, I get Preston pregnant. I don't know why I say these things.